Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a model originally launched in 2016, updated for 2017 as you see it here. This is a 2017 launch, 888 pieces, the Piaget Polo S DLC, gaining a diamond-like carbon-coated bezel. The 2016 becomes the 2017 with more of its own identity and aesthetic, as the DLC bezel visually separates this from others in the crowded steel sports watch category. So the timepiece at 42 millimeters in diameter is sizable, though it's not quite round. It's a little bit more of a cushion case profile. It is thin, however, at 9.4 millimeters thick and only 46.5 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, with a broad and modern 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now on the wrist, my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it wears quite nicely. It is narrow from lug to lug, so you can see on each side the lugs are nowhere near overhanging, meaning you can wear this watch quite easily on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. And being very thin, plus it has a sloped bezel, this watch can slide easily underneath a dress cuff or a tight sleeve. So while it is a sports watch, you'll find it is very wearable even in dress and sartorial circumstances involving formal clothes and tight sleeves. Now we have here a leather strap that's been rubber coated, which is an unusual treatment, but it gives it a great deal of durability and water resistance. You can also appreciate that it's matte black top and bottom. It's wonderfully supple against the skin thanks to the rubber lining. You can see that it features a black monotone stitch and a sheer cut side showing the layers of leather. You'll also appreciate that this strap, likely made by Camille Fournet, which is an OEM supplier to many Richemont brands, it's never been used. There's no perforation, gouging, or crimping marks. So a very clean strap, a new strap, a spec strap, correct to the model. And then we have a pin buckle, which is simple but handsomely decorated with both satin and polish to match the design of the bezel, and you can see echoes of the design there. The case has a satination that runs longitudinally from end to end, the lug hoods as well as the mid case, featuring polish on their tops. We have a crown, you can see, with a Piaget P. Now it is a push-down crown, not a screw-down crown, though the watch remains water resistant down to 100 meters. And then we have the DLC coated bezel. Now diamond-like carbon and PVD are two very different things. People think PVD is a material. It's not. PVD is physical vapor deposition, so you're depositing a physical vapor. What material is deposited will determine the quality of the PVD. Diamond-like carbon, or amorphous diamond-like carbon, ADLC, is a very hard material. It is diamond-like, and thus it is resistant to scratches, particularly scratch through. So you can see there are some marks from contact here. They're a little more than scuffs. They're nowhere near going through the material. They haven't even erased the satination of the underlying metal, so you can see just how tough this is. It's not indestructible, but I've rarely seen serious damage to DLC. I've seen damage to cheap PVD, but rarely to DLC in my years in the watch industry. Now you can see the edge of the bezel is polished. The top is actually horizontally satinated for a little bit of a different look. If you look carefully, you can see that the crystal itself, as well as the inner bezel, as well as the dial, they're all the same shape, a sort of rounded off square, and then we have lateral striations here with applied individual indices for the hours, as well as a polished frame for the date, giving it a lovely upscale, highly refined look. We have a P counterweight inside a little diamond at the end of the second hand, which is varnished red, and alpha style hands in high polish for the hours and minutes. Sorry about this. Normally I don't like to have a dead watch in the video. I like them to be ticking. I like them to be alive. And we'll do a quick loom shot here, which you can see is ample, an easy watch to read in the dark. Now the timepiece does include hacking or stop seconds, and we'll just make sure we're not in the date change danger zone there. We are. That's why we always check. You don't want to try to use a quick set on most dates around midnight. That's why I say date change danger zone. Now here, we've got a quick set system for the date, so we can rapidly cycle that if we need to change the date. Push the crown back down. On the reverse side, we have a lovely movement. You can also see this watch is individually numbered. This is number 27 of 888. Now the movement It may look familiar, and it should look familiar. This is the caliber 1110P. You got that? Good, because Cartier calls it the 1904 PSMC. And truth be told, these Cartier-Piaget shared movements often originate from Volfleurier, which is a movement design house inside of the Richemont group that distributes movements to the tenant brands. And so this is shared with Cartier, but I should also mention that the standard finish on the Piaget is much higher than you'll find on the Cartier. The movements are related, but they are not identical. So here we have ceramic rotor bearings, we have automatic winding, we have a 48 to 50 hour power reserve, we have stop seconds, quick set date, a 4 hertz beat rate, it's 25 pivot joules, and important to note, we actually do have an unusual refinement, which is twin mainspring barrels, and so that makes for more even torque release from maximum wind to minimum wind, so the watch doesn't lose a ton of amplitude after 18, 24, 30 hours, for example. The twin barrels mean that you have a very flat torque curve and thus very consistent timekeeping from max wind towards minimum wind. Now, when I talk about finish, I mean everything from the circular Côte de Genève to the black polish of some of the detail elements like the pegs that are used to locate bridges on the base plate. Also on the counter-threaded screw and the crown wheel just below it, there's solarization on the barrels. If you can see the barrels, they feature a lovely solarization on their surfaces. And then we also have fire-blued screws, which are nice to see. So it's a good-looking movement, and while it is based on the Cartier, it is by no means just the Cartier. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this limited edition Piaget Polo S.